Because of what I'm about to demonstrate to you all in today's video, I have every confidence that Trump has plans to shut down the Fed. Additionally, this proposal does make use of cryptocurrencies such as XRP and a few others. Naturally, the Department of Government Efficiency has been thoroughly dismantling the federal government in recent years. Additionally, I wanted to play a recent video of none other than Elon Musk discussing the internet, money, and computers that can create money out of thin air. After you listen to this, we will discuss Trump's strategy. You mentioned magic money computers as one of the topics you covered. Tell us about it. Before you mentioned it, I had never heard of it. All right, so you might believe that the government computers communicate with one another, synchronize, add up the money going to various locations, and that it makes sense that, and that the figures, like the one you see when you are a senator, are accurate. You would think. They're not. Yes, they're probably off by 5% or 10% in certain circumstances, but they're not entirely incorrect. Therefore, I refer to any computer that has the ability to generate money out of thin air as a magic money computer. It's magic money. How does that operate then? It only makes payments. And you mentioned that Treasury has 11 of these computers that send out trillions of dollars in payments. Most of them are at Treasury, are with the total at HHS, some at 1 or 2 at State, some at DOD, and others at, I believe we have now located 14 magic money PCs. All right, 14. They send money for no apparent reason. The federal government and the Federal Reserve. Purchasing U.S. Treasury bonds during specific periods will increase the money supply. Since new money is generated out of thin air when you acquire a loan for something, banks are actually one of the primary producers of money, which increases the amount of money in circulation. Check it out then. The first people to benefit from new money entering the economy are politicians, bankers, and bureaucrats. The first people to benefit from new money are them. The main source and motivator of inequalities in our contemporary society is the unequal distribution of wealth, which also affects individual wealth. Because their buddies may spend the money that banks or governments provide them on anything they choose, generally commodities and other valuable items. And this is a very crucial topic. So why is this so important? It goes without saying that expanding the money supply in this manner, by making payments, lending money, or doing anything else that essentially creates money out of thin air, devalues the currency as well. Anything that had intrinsic value in the past will eventually begin to lose value if there is more of it. And that's not even counting the trillions and trillions of dollars that are going to these people just so they can benefit from it, spend it, and have it circulate through the economy, making your money less valuable. Over the course of the next century, $100 in savings will be worth less than $1. Over the next 100 years, your currency's value will decrease by more than 99.9%. What is the expected method of saving money? No, you just can't. This leads me to my next point, which is that we clearly need some sort of change because the current monetary system is totally flawed. It goes without saying that we need to make some changes if money is no longer acting as a store of value. We must come up with a better idea. As we've seen, a major contributing factor to this inflation is a lack of control on these government machines that are essentially producing money out of thin air that has never existed before, printing trillions of dollars out of thin air, or simply sending payments. Furthermore, the typical taxpayer is completely unaware of this. Since I only recently learned about this, many of you are probably only now becoming aware of it. Thus, it is clear that this is an issue. However, the primary issue here is a lack of supervision. That is an issue. What is the function of cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a public ledger that is visible to everyone, and everyone would be aware of a $1 trillion payment if it were recorded on a public ledger. And this will practically immediately put an end to the corruption and government red tape that have been driving up prices. Therefore, this is what you must do. Simply bring this to the public's attention and say, hey, by the way, these politicians are printing trillions of dollars and spending them, completely on your dime. If you want to shut down the Fed and all of this, your money is being devalued. Furthermore, you are completely unaware of it. They are simply deceiving you about it. Simply put, they are ignoring it and not even discussing it. This is the true cause of all of the inflation we are experiencing. That should be more than sufficient to persuade people that they desire transparency. I'd like to see what my government is up to, if you're able to achieve that. You just use cryptocurrency to publish it on a public ledger, and the next thing you know, you have it. You have a transparent economy that once again benefits the general population. As an alternative to mystical online money, we might even return to a gold standard or just have a cryptocurrency that is based on something of real worth in the real world. However, I want to focus on Donald Trump's strategy now because, as we all know, he essentially hired Elon Musk to carry out this action and reveal this corruption. The real question now is what he does after revealing that corruption. That's what I want to discuss right now. I'm going to begin by playing this clip quickly because I believe it offers much-needed background. I'll then discuss how he plans to accomplish that. We are out of control. Trump must therefore cut expenditures, refinance our national debt, and slash interest rates. The Federal Reserve's independence from the government, including the president, is the only issue. Only in these circumstances would the Fed begin to reduce interest rates, unemployment is up while inflation is down, or if the economy needed to be stimulated after slowing down. Trump is raising unemployment with all the job losses and reducing spending with DOJ, the new Department of Government Efficiency. Furthermore, Trump's tariff battle is a component of a larger strategy to support domestic manufacturing and safeguard U.S.-based companies, even though it would raise inflation. The drawback, meanwhile, is the temporary suffering caused by faltering economies and unpredictability in the world. So is Trump deliberately destroying the American economy to pressure the Fed to begin cutting interest rates? Most likely. Additionally, considering the way the present traditional financial system operates, markets gravitate towards safer investments during difficult times. Demand for U.S. Treasuries may rise around the time the Fed may begin decreasing interest rates because they are among the safest. Additionally, by expanding the money supply, they boost the economy when they begin to cut interest rates. They accomplish this by purchasing U.S. Treasuries, as we have indicated. You see where this is headed? Yes, at much reduced interest rates, the U.S. national debt should be refinanced, and the markets begin to tremble when this money printing or quantitative easing begins, and risk-on assets such as cryptocurrency and Bitcoin shoot up. Therefore, it's more possible that Trump is using tariffs to simply negotiate better trade agreements than what has been reached, such as decreasing or eliminating them. We'll see. That's probably the short-term strategy. Let's now discuss Trump's potential long-term, covert financial system restructuring plan. First, if you haven't been utilizing these fire sales and market lows, dollar cost averaging into positions is the best course of action in unpredictable times. Trump is focusing on gold reserves for the reorganization of the American financial system and is eager to conduct an audit to verify inventory that hasn't been examined in more than 50 years. That ought to be fascinating. Additionally, Trump has declared the establishment of a distinct cryptocurrency reserve, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, and a U.S. sovereign wealth fund. Why, therefore, does Trump wish to concentrate on increasing asset reserves? Should return to the equity-based currency system that existed when the United States was on the gold standard, replacing our debt-based fiat currency system. Therefore, we can borrow against equity in our assets at a significantly lower interest rate than simply taking out a loan at interest from the Federal Reserve, a scam bank. Take a look. Consider the distinction between an unsecured loan, which is one in which banks offer you a sum of money that you personally guarantee. Because the lender is taking on more risk without any collateral, those loans have higher interest rates.